Beneath the blazing sun of Egypt, where the desert rolls like an ocean of gold, stand monuments that have outlived empires, stone giants, eternal watchers guarding secrets that time itself cannot erase. For thousands of years, humanity has stared at the pyramids, at the colossal temples, at the enigmatic Sphinx, and whispered the same question: how? How did a Bronze Age people carve and lift millions of tons of stone? How did they align monuments with the stars with a precision modern architects still marvel at? How did myths of gods descending from the heavens, walking among men, teaching arts and sciences, become the very foundation of their civilization? The history of Egypt is not a straight line. It is a labyrinth of myth and memory, of science and speculation. And somewhere between these two extremes lies a story so compelling, so cinematic, that it refuses to fade. Tonight, you will never see Egypt the same way again. Mystery 1. The Dendera Light. In the crypts of the Temple of Hathor at Dendera, carved deep into the walls, there is an image. Strange, haunting image, and it shows a lotus. From the lotus emerges a bulb-shaped vessel. Inside, a snake stretches out like a glowing filament. Beneath it, a figure holds what looks like a wire, connecting to a base shaped like a box. To the Egyptologists, this is a sacred symbol: the lotus, the snake, the jed pillar of stability. All part of the Egyptian language of myth. A cosmic story told in stone, but to others, it is something else entirely. A light bulb. The Dendera light bulb has become one of the most iconic enigmas of ancient Egypt. Because when you look at it with modern eyes, it is almost impossible not to see electricity. A bulb, a filament, a socket, even a cord. But how could that be? 2,000 years before Edison, before Tesla, before wires carried light into the night, could the Egyptians have had a secret knowledge of electricity? Mainstream science says no. No batteries, no copper wiring, no carbon filaments, only chisels, stone, oil lamps, and fire. But then the skeptics are forced to explain something equally curious. How did the Egyptians paint the vast corridors of their tombs with pigments that still glow after thousands of years, in spaces where there is no sign of soot from torches, no smoke, no carbon residue? The walls are clean. How did they see in the darkness? Some argue they used polished mirrors reflecting sunlight deep underground. But physics makes this almost impossible beyond a short distance. So what lit the painters' hands as they worked in silence, far below the desert sands? To believers in ancient contact, the Dendera bulb is not myth, it is memory. A memory of a device once real, a fragment of technology either lost to time or given to them by gods who were not gods. The debate rages on. Was the relief symbolic or technical, art or engineering? The walls of Hathor remain. The bulb still glows in the imagination, and the question lingers: did Egypt ever master a light, not of fire but of power? Mystery 2. False doors. Across the necropolises of Egypt, from the sprawling mastabas of Saqqara to the deep tombs of Giza, one finds them again and again. Stone portals, carved frames, a doorway that leads nowhere. The false door. To archaeologists, it is simple. The Egyptians believed the soul, the Ka, could pass between worlds. The false door was the threshold. Through it, the Ka would emerge to receive offerings of food, drink, incense. The door was a symbol, a bridge between life and afterlife. But to others, when it is something more, why build thousands of false doors across centuries? Why devote so much artistry to a door that opens onto solid stone? What if they were not only symbols? What if they were memory? Look beyond Egypt. The Maya carved stelae of doorways into the underworld. The Sumerians spoke of gates through which gods descended. The Greeks told of portals where mortals vanished into the realm of Hades. Across civilizations, the same motif repeats: the gate. Could Egypt's false doors have been echoes of an ancient technology? A portal, a stargate, a threshold once real, now only remembered in ritual? Imagine a civilization that once saw beings emerge from radiant doorways. Generations later, unable to recreate them, they carved imitations in stone. The technology became theology. The portal became a shrine. False doors remain silent, but their presence whispers of something greater. Were they only ritual? Or the shadow of a gateway once known and lost? Mystery 3, the helicopter hieroglyphs. On the walls of Abydos in the temple of Seti I, carved more than 3,000 years ago, there are hieroglyphs that baffle the eye. At first glance, and they are normal. Symbols of reeds, falcons, thrones, and crowns. But look closer, look with modern eyes, and you will see something uncanny. A helicopter, a tank, even the outline of a flying saucer. Photographs of these hieroglyphs have circled the globe. How could an ancient people have carved what looks like modern war machines into their sacred walls? Egyptologists have an answer. The strange shapes, they say, are palimpsests, carvings laid one over another. Over time, as plaster eroded, layers merged. The new glyphs overlapped with the old, creating accidental shapes that mimic modern craft. Coincidence? An illusion of time. But is it really so simple? Because the resemblance is so sharp, so direct, that many cannot dismiss it. If it is accident, it is an extraordinary one. And so the question emerges, what if these were not coincidences? What if the Egyptians really saw machines in the sky? What if the gods who descended to Abydos arrived not in metaphor but in metal? Were these carvings attempts to record encounters with technology beyond their age? The hieroglyphs of Abydos remain carved in stone. Ambiguous, mysterious. They force us to confront a tantalizing possibility that perhaps once upon a time, Egypt looked up and saw something it could never forget. Mystery 4. Giants in Egyptian myth. In Egyptian art, the gods tower above men. Osiris, Isis, Horus, their figures dominate. To scholars, it is metaphor. The gods are drawn larger because they are greater. Their scale is power. But myths whisper of something stranger. What if the gods were not just symbolic giants, but literal ones? Legends across the globe speak of beings of immense size. The Nephilim of the Bible, the Anunnaki of Sumer, the Titans of Greece. Egypt too tells of gods who strode the earth, beings greater than man, teaching, ruling, creating. Could these depictions of towering figures be more than allegory? Could they be memory of encounters with giants? Skeptics demand evidence, bones, skeletons, fossils. and Egypt yields none. No remains of massive beings lie beneath its sands. But the myths persist, and myths, they say, are never born of nothing. Were the gods of Egypt simply divine metaphors? Were they colossal beings whose presence was too overwhelming to forget? The art endures, the figures tower still, and the question remains, did the Egyptians worship symbols? Or did they record encounters with giants? Mystery 5, the Labyrinth of Hawara. In the words of Herodotus, the father of history, there was once a marvel in Egypt greater than any temple, any pyramid, any wonder of Greece. It was called the Labyrinth. Near Hawara, south of Cairo, Herodotus claimed to have seen it with his own eyes. A vast complex of chambers and corridors, more than 3,000 rooms. Halls so immense, he wrote, that all the works of the Greeks combined were nothing in comparison. 3,000 years later, where is it?
Keep an eye on the readings here.
Archaeologists have searched Hawara.
I think I found something.
Mark that spot.
Ruins of pyramids, traces of walls. But no labyrinth of such magnitude has been uncovered. So was Herodotus deceived? Was he exaggerating, or has the labyrinth simply not been found? Some believe it lies buried deep beneath the sands. Others whisper it is submerged by the Nile, its chambers drowned. Even modern surveys with ground-penetrating radar hint at anomalies beneath the site. Structures that may match the ancient account. If the labyrinth is real, what lies within its thousands of rooms? Treasures of kings, or something more extraordinary? A library of knowledge, a vault of secrets? A place to guard truths too dangerous for the world to know. To the Egyptians, it was sacred. To Herodotus, it was beyond imagination. To us, it is a riddle. If the Labyrinth of Hawara exists, it may hold the most explosive discovery in all of archaeology. A place where history and myth collide. A place where the line between mankind and something greater might finally be revealed. Mystery 6, the Benben Stone. At Heliopolis, the city of the sun, priests once spoke of a stone that came from the heavens. They called it the Benben. It was said to have fallen from the sky, blazing with light, set upon a sacred pillar. It became the axis of creation. The place where Ra, the sun god, first touched the earth. To the Egyptians, the Benben was holy. The model for the pyramid itself. The inspiration for the obelisk, the capstone of heaven on earth. But was it only a myth? Or was it real? Some believe the Benben was a meteorite, a fragment of the cosmos worshipped for its otherworldly origin. Others whisper it was something more. A device, a capstone of power, a relic that glowed. An artifact not of this world. Consider this. The obelisks of Egypt, descendants of the Benben, were crowned with pyramidions plated in electrum, a rare alloy of gold and silver, polished to catch the sun, but perhaps also to conduct energy. Were these monuments symbols of divine light, or instruments meant to channel it? The Benben stone itself is lost, but its legend remains. A stone from the sky, a fragment of the stars. A clue that the gods of Egypt may not have been gods at all, but visitors. Mystery 7, the Obelisks. Across the Nile Valley they rise, granite giants cut, carved, and raised with almost impossible skill. Obelisks. Some stand over 30 meters tall. weighing hundreds of tons, and yet they were quarried, transported, and lifted into place by Bronze Age hands. Why? To scholars, the answer is simple. They are symbols of Ra, frozen rays of the sun. Their tips once capped with shining electrum, blazing at dawn. But to others, they are more. Antennas. The form of the obelisk, tall and tapering, mirrors designs of later radio masts. The electrum tips, conductive and reflective, seem more like transmitters than decoration. Could the obelisks have been part of a network? A system to capture, store, or even transmit energy? Aligned with the pyramids, with temples, with the Nile itself, could they have been the infrastructure of a forgotten technology? Egyptologists say no. No circuits, no machinery, and only ritual, only stone. But the question remains, why did they move these colossal pillars across Egypt, and even across the world, to Rome, to Paris, to New York? Were they simply monuments? Or relics of a science so old, it became religion? The obelisks remain, silent, pointing skyward, as if awaiting a signal that has not yet returned. Mystery 8. Tutankhamun's Meteoric Dagger. In the Valley of the Kings, when Howard Carter broke the seal of Tutankhamun's tomb, he uncovered treasures beyond imagination. Gold masks, jeweled statues, and among them, a dagger. At first, it seemed unremarkable. Its blade was iron. But Egypt in Tutankhamun's time was still in the Bronze Age. Where did this iron come from? For decades, the question lingered. It was meteoric, forged in the heart of a dying star, fallen to earth in a fireball from the sky, shaped by ancient hands into a blade for a pharaoh. To mainstream history, it was rare, but possible. Meteoric iron was sometimes used by ancient cultures, but to believers, it was more. A reminder that kings were children of the stars. Why place such a blade in Tutankhamun's tomb? Why choose this metal for his journey into eternity? Was it symbol or proof of contact? The dagger of Tutankhamun still rests in Cairo, silent, deadly. A blade born not of earth, but of the heavens. Mystery 9. The Black Pyramid of Dahshur. At Dahshur, south of Cairo, lies a ruin, collapsed, crumbling. A pyramid once sheathed in gleaming stone, now a dark mass of clay and rubble. The Black Pyramid of Amenemhat III. Egyptologists call it a failure. Built on unstable ground, it sank. Its passages cracked, its walls gave way. But step inside, and the story changes. Within its core lies a labyrinth of tunnels, a web of chambers, hidden passages sealed with giant blocks, some still unopened. Why such complexity? For a pyramid destined to collapse, why hide so much, if it was only a tomb? Could the Black Pyramid have been something else? A vault, a bunker, a place designed to conceal not bodies, but secrets. The sealed chambers still wait. What lies within? Gold, scrolls? Or knowledge not of this earth? The Black Pyramid remains an enigma, a ruin on the surface, a labyrinth within. Its darkness whispers of a purpose greater than death. Perhaps it was never just a pyramid. Perhaps it was a prison, or a hiding place for something mankind was never meant to find. Mystery 10. The Solar Boat of Khufu. Beside the Great Pyramid of Giza, in a pit sealed for 45 centuries, lay a puzzle of cedar wood. Over 1,200 fragments. When reassembled, they formed a vessel 43 meters long. The Solar Boat of Khufu. Egyptologists explain it simply. It was a ritual craft, a symbolic bark to carry the pharaoh's soul across the heavens with Ra, the sun god. But the more we look, the stranger it becomes. This boat was not built for the Nile. It has no rigging holes, no structure for sails, no clear way to be powered on water. So why build it? Why bury it beside the Great Pyramid? To some, it was symbolic. To others, it was memory, a reconstruction of something Egyptians once saw descend from the sky, a vessel not of river but of stars. Could the solar boat have been a model? The boat rests today in its museum, silent, preserved, its cedar planks still radiating the mystery of purpose. Conclusion: 10 mysteries, 10 enigmas carved into stone, whispered in myth, buried in sand. The light bulb of Dendera, the false doors of Saqqara, the helicopter glyphs of Abydos, the giants of legend, the labyrinth of Hawara, the Benben stone, the Obelisks, Tutankhamun's cosmic dagger, the Black Pyramid, the solar boat of Khufu. Each with explanations, each with doubts, each with questions that refuse to fade. Mainstream history offers answers, symbolism, ritual, coincidence, but the mysteries endure. Because the explanations never silence the imagination. Why do these enigmas align with myths across the world? Why do they all speak of the same story? Stones from the sky, gods descending, giants walking, gates opening, ships sailing the stars. Coincidence, or fragments of a memory too old to vanish? Perhaps Egypt was the cradle of genius, and all of this is human achievement. Perhaps every carving, every myth, every enigma is metaphor, nothing more. But perhaps it is not. Perhaps the Egyptians did not invent these wonders alone. Perhaps they were guided, taught, inspired, and perhaps the gods of Egypt, some were not gods at all. The monuments still stand, the myths still speak, and the questions still echo. And who were the builders? Who were the teachers? And what truth lies hidden beneath the sands of time? Until the answers come, Egypt will remain the greatest riddle of all.